Hey guys! So it's July 1st, so that means I have some books to tell you about. So I managed to read 9 books in the month of June, which I am super happy with because I haven't read that many books in a month in forever, it seems. And I am just really pleased with the books I read. I liked pretty much every single book that I read. So I will just go right on in and tell you about those books. The first book I read this month was A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Megan from Megan Precourt and I read this together the first week of the month, and I really liked it. It wasn't quite a 5-star for me. It's probably like a 4.75, 4.8. And the reason for that was there were a lot more slow parts in this book than there were in the first one, but I still really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story. My favorite characters from the first book were Daenerys and Jon Snow and Arya, as well as Tyrion. He's up there too. And in this book, my absolute favorite character's point of view to read from was Arya. I absolutely loved her chapters. She was such a kick-butt little girl, and she's just awesome. I love her character. Then after her, Jon Snow's chapters were absolutely great too. I loved where the story went, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the third book. And then after that, my next favorite chapters to read from were Sansa's. I know a lot of people don't like her, but I absolutely adore her. I connect with her, and I just love where her story's going, and I think she deserves a little more love than she gets. I said that I loved Daenerys' chapters in the first book, and I still loved her chapters in this book, but there were literally probably 4. Only 4 in this ginormous book. And not a whole lot happened in her story in this book, so it was kind of hard to say that she was a favorite because there wasn't a whole lot going on. I have watched the first half of this season of Game of Thrones, but I've decided to stop and wait till I get through the rest of the books because of how much they do change, and I don't want to end up spoiling myself more because I have gotten spoiled for things that I didn't want to get spoiled for. So I think I will eventually make a series of videos comparing each book to each season. But I liked the half that I did watch because it made Daenerys' chapters more exciting, the way they changed them. So I am excited to get to the show, but I'm going to finish out the books that are released first. Oh, and I just want to say that Theon's chapters, oh my gosh, I can't stand him. Megan hates him too, and I had such a hard time getting through his chapters because he's such a womanizing pig. After that, I picked up The Titan's Curse, the 3rd book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. This wasn't the greatest book to choose after reading a Game of Thrones book because of the just vast difference between writing styles. So it took me a little while to get through this because it was such a different tone and so much younger. But I did enjoy this book. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first 2 because the story just wasn't as exciting and it was just a little predictable for me. And I enjoyed it. I think I gave it like a 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars because I still love reading from Percy's perspective because he's just a fun character and I love all the characters in this series, but this book was just a little lower than the other 2 that I have read. After that, Megan and I picked up The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin, and I love this series so much. It is so good. At first, it's really hard to explain the genre of this series, but after getting through the first 2, I have decided that it's like a paranormal psychological thriller. It is so creepy. You just don't know what exactly is going on. Mara has survived a traumatic incident where she's the only person left alive, but she can't remember what happened. And as she's slowly remembering, she can't tell if things are real or not, and it's just so creepy. There were times where I was reading where I shivered because it was such a creepy moment, and it was so good. This is probably my favorite book of the month. And I gave it 5 stars, obviously. Then after that, I picked up the second book. I can't really say anything about the plot of this, but I loved this book even more. It was just such a fast-paced book. I read about 400 pages in 4 hours. And it was just so good. The answers we needed at the end of the first book were all given to us, and then 1,000 more piled on top. I cannot wait to get to the third book. Megan's already finished it, and she said that she loved it, so I can't wait to get to it, which I will probably be getting to at the end of the week, hopefully. The next books I read, the next 4 books I think I read for the biannual bibliothon. I do have a wrap-up for that I will link down in the description, but I didn't really go into much detail about the books, so I'll just go ahead and get into them now. The first book I read was a reread, and it is Into the Land of the Unicorns by Bruce Coville. I have mentioned this many times on my channel. It is my favorite book from my childhood. It is the book that taught me that friendship can stem from a shared love of books, and it means a whole heck of a lot to me. Keep watching my channel because it will come back, and I will be giving a copy away to someone. So keep an eye out for that. I love this story. I didn't remember much about it except for the fact that I loved it and a creature called the Squidgem. But I love this book. It follows Kara, and right as the book starts, she and her grandmother are being stalked by someone. And her grandmother gives her this necklace that they call the Special. And she tells her that after she rings the bell in the church that they're hiding in for the 12th time, she must say these words and throw herself off the top of the church tower. And when she does that, she'll be taken into the land of unicorns. And it's just such a fun little start to the series, and it's very magical and really fun. I said fun already, but I just really love this book, and I'm so glad that I reread it because it's just great. I gave it 5 stars. After that, I picked up Ferris by Marissa Meyer. This is the prequel story of the Queen Lavanna. It happens before the events in Cinder. I gave this about 3 or 3.5 stars. I wasn't thrilled with the story. I mean, I really love prequels, so I did like getting Queen Lavanna's backstory. However, the events in this book do not make me feel sorry for her. I mean, of course what happened to her was terrible, and I would hate to wish that upon anyone, but it did not excuse the horrible things she did. Reading from her mind was just so terrifying, and I felt like it was almost unbelievable. The writing didn't quite feel like Marissa's writing in the other books. It just didn't feel quite as invested, and I didn't feel as though she was invested in this backstory as much as she was invested in the other stories. But I did enjoy reading it. I am glad that I did because it gave insight into the other characters, but I was more excited about the insights to Queen Shannery. I think it's Shannery, and Winter as well. I liked the backstories to all the other characters except for Queen Lavanna, really. The next book I read was Paper Towns by John Green. This was the group book for the biannual Bibliothon, and there is a live show that the girls did on it, and I will leave that down in the description. I really liked this story up until the last 22 pages. The beginning was so much fun, but the middle just kind of dragged on and on and on. I wish the ending would have been completely different because it was so anticlimactic. Well, I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I picked up Perks of Being a Wallflower. This was another 3-star book for me. I can see why people love it, but I didn't really connect with the characters very much. I wasn't really fond of the writing style either. This follows the main character. I can't even remember his name now. Oh, it's Charlie. It follows Charlie, and he writes letters to an anonymous person, kind of detailing his life. I can kind of see this as being a required reading in high school, maybe like 5 years, 10 years from now. But I don't know, I didn't really care much for it, and it was a little boring. I read it less than a week ago, and I don't even really remember what happened. Alright, so this is my like 3rd attempt to refilm this. So I've already changed into my pajamas, and I do not feel like changing back in, so you guys, I think, can totally handle me in my pajamas. So as I was trying to finish my wrap up, my camera died, and I only have 1 battery, so I had to charge it, and I also had to go into town. So it's several hours later now, and as I was editing the footage I got when I got home, I was like totally out of the frame. I was holding the books like out here, and you couldn't even see them. So I had to discard that. But I had also filmed on my laptop, and for some reason when I went to like brush my bangs over because they were freaking out, it totally corrupted the film, the video. So here I am at like 8 filming again. Alright, so the last book I talked about was The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and so after that I started reading The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and because I'm not really a back-to-back-to-back reader, the readathon kind of put me in a reading slump, and this book has a very different writing style, so I was having a really hard time getting through it. I love the story still, but I'm just having a hard time kind of getting into the writing style and reading it quicker. So I put it down, and then I picked up Anya's Ghost by Vera Brosgol to try and just help me get out of my reading slump. And I absolutely loved this graphic novel. It was so cute. There was a lot more to the story than I was expecting, which I really enjoyed. I absolutely love ghost stories, and I hadn't read one in a really long time. So I wanted to pick this up soon anyway, so I just decided to pick it up to try and pull myself out of the reading slump, and it did help a lot because I absolutely loved it, and I flew through it in less than an hour. It was just such a fun read, and I'm glad that I read it. Alright, so here is to hoping that this footage is good because I don't have a viewfinder. I cannot tell if I'm in focus or not. And I'm so sorry. I've already edited most of the video, and I'm sorry about all the places that it just kind of unfocuses and refocuses. If any of you use a Sony CyberShot, will you let me know if there's any way to get around that, because it's really frustrating. And I don't have the money to buy like a really nice DSLR or anything. So that's my June wrap up. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you read any of these books, let me know down in the comments what you thought of them. I'd especially like to know your thoughts on Paper Towns. And yeah, stick around because I will be announcing the giveaway for Into the Land of the Unicorns as soon as the new copy gets in the mail. So I will make an entire video on that, but I wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek into what's going to happen in the future. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!